Hi guys, it's Mr. Dubin. I'm going to give you your second week in the program CATS, practice lesson number 2. We're going to do 3 practice lessons. Next week you're going to take the technique that I teach you now and what Mr. Rodriguez shows you on his half of this lesson, and you're going to take an already established line art character and render it. So by the time that you get to drawing your own character from scratch, lines included, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, you'll be an expert at it and the YouTube star that you were meant to be. So with this technique, pay heed, young kittens and regular students, because this is a very, very important technique on how to shade and highlight and how to add backlighting and stuff like that, and how to separate it from your line art. And you're going to be doing that on every little piece as part of a character. So next week I'm going to show you how to render a more advanced character. Mr. Rodriguez is going to show you how to draw your first little character, kind of like a little cartoon head. And I'm going to show you the rendering technique right now. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is, you see I've noticed, excuse me, if you've noticed, I've made a big black circle on a new layer. I'm going to delete that so we'll get a little bit of practice. So you click on that circle and you go to clear layer. So to make that circle, up here in your toolbar, you can see it, I've highlighted it in blue. You can make a basic shape. So with the circle, you need to pick a tool first, otherwise it'll come out looking like whatever tool you're on. So I suggest today that to get your circle, you use either the ink marker or the pen with a smallish brush, and your opacity or flow all the way up. And so all you have to do is click and drag, and you'll have your outline circle. Okay, so we're going to fill that in with color, with your median color, or local color as it's called. Now to fill this in with color really quick, you're going to go to the paint bucket up here at the top, and the paint bucket is like it's a fill color tool. It's just like it dumps color into whatever you touch with it. So you got to go get a color first. So today's lesson, I think I'm going to go get a blue color, so like a sky blue to work with, because that's something kind of nice and bright. Will let you do the shading a little bit easier. Or if you want, you can go with whatever color you choose. Maybe I'll even do a nice kind of medium orange. Yeah, I'll do that. So I picked my lightness and darkness here. I picked my color, click on the puck again, and then with the tool you just click inside the object, and presto, changeo, it is filled in instantly. Now if your object is solid, meaning there's no openings on it, it will fill it in with color instantly. You don't have to paint it in with any tool. Okay, that's using the paint bucket up at the top. That's like a fill bucket tool. Okay, now to learn how to draw in shadows and highlights and stuff like that. So to do shadows and highlights, it's very easy. All you have to do is go over here to the side and select the airbrush tool. Remember, if you go to the tool, you can see like the name of it and all that kind of stuff. And then with that, you have a size. So you're gonna have to go get change the size. I'm going to use the slider on the side like I showed you. I would get something like that. And then the opacity, so I would go with like maybe 20, 30 something percent with the opacity. So you're going to change opacity, you're going to change size. Okay? Oops, I messed my opacity up. I have to fix it. Alright, now we're going to paint in the shadows and the highlights, and this is how super easy it is to do. We're going to go over here to the puck tool, and we're going to pick a black for shadows and a white for highlights, or sometimes people will actually go with the same like tone for the shadow. So you don't always need to use black for shadows and white for highlights. You can actually use a darker version of the same color to do that. So maybe a dark brown, or even, in this case I'm going to use black, but you can pick other colors. A lot of times people will use dark greens and dark blues and stuff like that for shadows, or purples even. So keep that in mind. Click on the puck again. Alright, so how this tool works is, to create your shadow, you're just going to kind of go to your airbrush tool, and you're going to sort of, as you see I'm painting here down at the bottom, I'm going to bring my brush size up a little bit. Okay, so I am painting in a stroke like that. And when I paint in my highlight, I'm going to paint in a stroke. I'm kind of matching the curvature of the ball shape. I'm going to hit undo, 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 undo. So when I'm on the airbrush tool, remember I'm painting with opacity, and I can bring that up a little bit. To kind of speed this up, I'm kind of creating a shadow here. Now, as I paint my shadow, you can see it is spreading all over the page. How do we keep the shadow locked onto just the object? Okay, so I'm going to undo, 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 undo. This is a really important technique. You must learn this right now. If you look at your layer, where the orange dot is, the layer, I'm going to move it up and down. There's the eyeball at the top of the layer's corner that turns it off and on. But just below that is a little padlock with checkers on it. If you click on that, it locks the pixels of your thing, so it doesn't matter what you do, it will only draw within the object. Very, very helpful. Okay, so if I go to my airbrush there and I start drawing in my shadow, matching the curvature, okay, and then at the bottom it's going to be a little bit darker, and then I kind of just rub really near the bottom there. Okay, I can create, so you kind of have to imagine a light source. So like, I'm going to unlock the pixel temporarily. If your light source is coming in from here, from that direction, then your highlights will be there and the shadows will be opposite. Okay, so you have to think about lighting when you're doing this. So I'm going to lock the pixels again by clicking on the padlock on the layer, and you can see I've painted in, go back to my airbrush, a very nice highlight. Alright, so now I'm going to go get a very nice shadow, my bad. So now I'm going to go get a nice yellow for the highlight, maybe even almost white. And I'm going to use the same technique. And I'm kind of, remember, I'm painting in strokes that are matching the curvature. Alright, but with the airbrush. Now the airbrush, this is a nice soft fuzzy brush. And then when I get up there, and I'm painting with opacity, so remember opacity is how solid the image is. So if I'm on a percentage there, I can kind of build up to the percentage that I want. Now typically, I wouldn't be even painting with the outlines on it. I would be drawing a sphere without that, and we're going to kind of practice that next week. Right now it's okay if you have the lines on and if it covers it up a little bit like that. Alright, so I want even brighter highlights, so I'm going to go get white. I'm going to take my brush down in size, bring up the opacity, and paint in my brightest highlight there. So now my sphere is looking 3D. Now if you use this technique on any character, any limb, any piece, any part of the character or object, you can create very good 3D objects and make your stuff look like you're a super amazing artist. And you probably have never used this before, but this technique can be used in Photoshop, Illustrator, all kinds of stuff, which you're going to learn later. Now most objects will have a backlighting too to it, so that means like a little bit of a side light. So with a smaller brush like I have, and an opacity, I'm going to go get like maybe a blue tone. That's why I changed my mind on color. The backlighting usually is a different colored light. So my main color light is yellow, and my highlight here on the side, the backlighting, I'm going to take the opacity down. The backlighting there will be blue or a different color other than the yellow light. Okay, and there's my backlight, there's my highlight, there's my shadow, and this is the technique that you're going to want to use next week and on the character that Mr. Rodriguez shows you how to draw. Okay, so that ends the lesson. I'm going to go ahead and save this now. So remember, we go over to the top menu and you use that little blinking thing there that I'm making. It's like a box with 3 dots. And you go to Gallery and you save the current image, and there it is. Okay, and I'll show you later how to scale that up. You can see mine is pretty small, but it doesn't matter what size we're working on right now. Go ahead and scale it up to work on it. One last thing, if you want to get this into your photos file so that you can upload it into the Google Class on the particular box on the wall in the classroom, the turn-in box. Mr. Rodriguez did a lesson, I did a lesson on that. Hopefully you watched them. This will be in the YouTube area, this lesson. So you're going to have to go to the YouTube the tutorial dashboard to get to this. There is under the same box up there at the top, it says share. So there's gallery where you save it, but it's share lets you can email it to yourself, you can save the image into your photos, you can text it to yourself, email it, all kinds of different Gmail. There's Google Classroom. There's there's a bunch of ways of doing it, of sharing this. Okay. So you'll have to experiment and kind of figure out which way works for you, because everybody has a different device. But knowing that there's all these different ways of doing it, you can kind of send it to yourself as an email attachment. Or you can save it to your images and then go to Google Classroom and then just upload it like I showed in my other lesson, or how Rodriguez showed. I have not yet clicked on this Google Classroom here because I have the app. And so I don't know, I'll click on it now to see what it does. I can share to my classroom. I'm not sure if this will let me share to the particular folder. It's kind of spinning around, so we're not going to use that. Anyways, that's where you're going to go. You're going to go to that button, you're going to go to share, and probably the best way I found is to just save the image, and it'll go into your photos folder, and then you can upload it when you go to the Google Classroom. Okay, so have a good time with that and look forward to seeing your work.